Hey guys, Corrie Jones here with Jenni Bowlin Studios. I'm here today with a video on how this layout came together. It was a fun layout that I made starting with nothing but basic white cardstock and building up from there. So why don't we go ahead and get started and you can see how it all came together. I'm using all Jenni Bowlin products for this. So this is my little secret stash of buttons. I also have this 6x6 stencil, which is one of the new releases. Then there's all these great sequins, both from this release and last. Also some wood veneer pieces. These great gold rub-ons. I love rub-ons. Some of these flat back buttons. Some more sequins. And then lastly, I'm using these watercolor paints. Well, sorry, some washi tape first, but then these watercolor paints that you can buy in the shop. It's a new item she's got in the shop. The first thing I'm going to do is just cover my page with gesso. I'm using basic white cardstock here, and since I'm going to be using watercolor paints, I don't want it to get the page to get totally slushy. So to kind of help out with that, I'm just using a iTunes card that's already been used and just covering my sheet with gesso. Now that's going to dry. I did help it along with the heat gun a little bit to try and speed up the process, but it really does have to be completely dry. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this awesome stencil. With this stencil, I'm going to use molding paste. This is just to get the texture onto my cardstock. It's not going to be perfectly little squares. I'm just going to fill in here and there where I want to have a little bit of extra texture. And I'm covering it straight up, well, I'm scraping it right off of the stencil. So it's not going to be super bumpy. It's just a little bit, just as deep as the stencil is. And I'm moving it around just a little bit because I just want it to have a little bit of texture here and there. And luckily this molding paste, if it's not too thick, it actually doesn't take very long to dry. So the next step I'm going to do is to use watercolor paints, and although this really does need to be all the way dry before I put the watercolors on, it won't take too long. Now that all of that, the gesso and the molding paste, all of that is nice and dry, I'm going to go ahead and start with my watercolor paints. So what I'm going for here is a pink ombre effect going up the page. I'm trying to match it to the dots that are behind my daughter in the photo. And so first thing I'm going to do is just try and keep the color pretty even going up in a lightly, and then I can add color to it. That's the great thing about watercolors is, it's pretty easy to, manage the saturation of the color that's on there. So here it's just going to be pretty light all the way up. I really like how it catches on the molding paste and it kind of pops out from there. Now I want to add a little bit extra color as I'm going down because I want the bottom to actually be the darkest. And I'm not adding water as I'm going down because the less water there is, the darker the color is going to be. So to try and keep with that effect, I'm not adding a bunch of water. Now right there I felt like it was a little too dark, so you just add a little water straight to the page. And that's the great thing about this gesso is it's not seeping all the way through the paper. The gesso kind of blocks the water from saturating the paper, which is great. Now back to the drying table this goes. There's a lot of drying involved in this layout. Once that was nice and dry, I hand drew a star on a piece of scratch paper and used that as kind of a stencil to stitch around. So I stitched around that star twice with my machine. And then just to keep on going with this whole star theme, I'm cutting out a section of these gold star rub-ons, and I fully feel like I could use the whole sheet at this point, but I didn't want to unpeel the whole sheet because I figured I would end up wasting a bunch. So I'm just cutting off sections so it's a little bit easier to work with and without getting a bunch of rub-ons stuck in places I don't want them. Just going to keep on going here. What was funny is later on in the day, I actually looked down at my hands. I had washed all the paint off, but what I didn't realize is I hadn't washed off all the rub-ons. I had a perfect star stuck right to the end of one of my fingers. My kids got a big kick out of that one. I really love this pink and gold together. I think it's just a really awesome color combination. It reminds me of my girls. It reminds me of the sunset, the sunrise. It's just a beautiful combination. I'm going to go ahead and add one more little rub on to this page. I just want this little heart that's on this little domino-like piece, and I'm going to add it straight to the photo. And what sets down, I really want to go ahead and get my photograph adhered to the page. And yep, I'm putting hot glue straight on it. I don't know if it's archival safe, but I'm not entirely convinced that my scrapbooks are going to make it forever anyhow. So we'll just go with what's going to stick. I'm also adding her initials right here. I like to make sure I've got my kids' initials on every page. And then I'm adding these great vellum feathers. I realize that the feathers don't really have anything to do with the stars, but I love, love, love them. I love the white and how airy they are, and I just think they're fun. And since embellishments are my favorite thing to use, more so than pattern paper or anything else, and Jenni's got some of the best embellishments on the market, I'm adding them. They look fun. A little bit of washi tape just to stick right there. And then these wood veneer pieces, these are so, so cute. And I added a little card that says photo on it. Then flatbacks. Flatbacks are another one of my favorite embellishments. I just think there's so many things that you can do with them. And these are great because I've got the whole star theme. So I've got one right there with the star. The other one on the other side of the photo says lovable, which works great for her. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my title. What I have done is cut out She Shines out of 2 of the Jenni Bowlin papers. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere those right down. The she was really, really thin. I cut it out on my silhouette, my cameo, with a font that was just super duper thin. So I was trying to be very careful and not get things all over, not mess it all up. So I like how they overlap a little bit. And I realized that someone looking at this page might not be, they might go, what is that title again? But, oh well, it works for me. Then I, of course, lost the little dot that goes above the eye. So I decided to use one of these little flower sequins just to dot my eye. And now I'm just going to continue to embellish the page. I'm trying to use things that shine or sparkle and kind of remind me of the star theme. So I'm using some more of these little clear sequins. And everything I'm just hot gluing straight down. I really want to make sure things stick. I don't like it when things are floating around in the bottom of my page protectors. Well, that's when they get in the page protectors. Right now everything's in a pile in my office, but I don't want things ending up on the floor either before they get in the page protectors. So I have pretty much switched to hot glue unless it's something that's really lightweight or I can't use it. Even with these sequins, I'm finding that clear hot glue, you really don't see it through, so it works out perfect. I have another flat back here. This one says Shine, which works perfectly with the title. And I finally found a home for that lovable one. These are some larger sequins that came out the last 2 releases ago, not this most recent one, but over the summer. And they work great too for just little sparkle here and there. I love the sequins because they're not too overwhelming, but they do add that little pop of color here and there. Then I went into my stores of Jenni Bowlin embellishments and I started pulling out things that are old. So I got these red star adhesive little gems, and then pink vellum butterflies. I don't know if you guys have any of these embellishments left in your stash, but oh my gosh, I just love these. Now they're so old that the adhesive actually doesn't work anymore, but that's okay because I've got hot glue and hot glue will stick them down just fine. Another thing that I pulled out were these some more feathers. They're just the paper feathers. And I decided since I only had two on one page and I like things in threes, I'm going to go ahead and add one more little paper feather to the opposite corner of my of the photo. I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of journaling here. All it says is, my girl growing up too fast. I don't have a date on this or anything else. It wasn't any specific moment in time. I took the photo maybe a week ago, but I just needed something because just something to describe her today. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the page, and check out Jenni Bowlin for all of her new releases. Bye.